In 2020, Princess Raiyah, the youngest daughter of the late King Hussein of Jordan, married a British man. He converted to Islam for her and even took a new name. Their wedding was described as one of the most unusual royal love stories. But 6 years later, it emerged that this marriage had been over for a long time and that Raiyah's former husband was already married again. You will be surprised to learn who he chose over the princess. But what really happened to the princess's marriage? Why were no members of the Jordanian royal family present at their wedding? Who is her former husband? And whom did he marry after the divorce? And where is Princess Raiyah now? Watch the video to the end to learn every detail of this sad royal story. Princess Raiyah bint Al Hussein was born in 1986. She is the youngest daughter of King Hussein and his fourth wife, Queen Noor. Her father ruled Jordan for almost half a century. And before her marriage, her mother was an American woman named Lisa Halabi. You might think the daughter of such a monarch would spend her whole life in the spotlight. But Raiyah chose a completely different path. She rarely appeared in the society pages. She spent years studying Japanese culture and literature. She lived in Tokyo. And later she began work on a doctoral dissertation in California. And the world would later learn about her divorce in the most unexpected way. She met Ned Donovan in India. By the time they met, Raiyah was already past 30. He was 8 years younger. He worked as a journalist and foreign correspondent, and he travelled widely across Asia and the Middle East. But his family was far from ordinary either. His grandfather was the famous writer Roald Dahl, who wrote the legendary children's books Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Matilda. And his grandmother was the American actress and Oscar winner Patricia Neal. The romance moved quickly, despite the difference in age, culture, and background. The young Briton was so taken with the Eastern princess that he decided to change his life completely. In 2019, King Abdullah gave his blessing to the marriage, and the royal court officially announced their engagement. Before the wedding, Ned converted to Islam and began using the name Faris Ned Donovan. He also started learning Arabic. He later joked that the lessons had taught him two things: that his Arabic was still quite poor and that he had a very long way to go. It seemed he really was preparing to begin an entirely new life beside a Jordanian princess. But very soon their plans would start to fall apart, one after another. The wedding was planned for the spring of 2020 in Jordan, but the coronavirus pandemic began, and the large celebration had to be cancelled. Raiyah and Ned decided not to wait, and on the 7th of July they married in Britain at a small ceremony. Among the guests were the bride's mother, Queen Noor, Ned's relatives, and the ambassador of Jordan. After the wedding, the couple intended to move to Jordan, but the pandemic seems to have changed those plans. In the end, Ned stayed in Britain and went to work for the London police, while Raiyah continued her studies in the United States. The years that followed were not easy for Ned. A year after the wedding, his father, Patrick Donovan, died of cancer. And in 2024, Ned, by then a police officer, spotted a pickpocket on Westminster Bridge trying to rob a tourist. He detained the man, but several accomplices attacked him. Ned was beaten, choked, and even bitten, yet he did not let the suspect go. Raiyah's own family was going through a hard time as well. Inside the Jordanian royal family, a severe political crisis had been building for years. Her brother, the former Crown Prince Hamza, had turned openly against the ruling king. In 2021, King Abdullah effectively placed Prince Hamza under strict house arrest. The disgraced brother lost all freedom of movement and all contact with the outside world. But at that time, no one suspected there were problems in Raiyah's own marriage. The couple were last seen together in public in 2023. They appeared side by side at one of the most important family ceremonies. the wedding of Crown Prince Hussein and Rajwa in Amman. Nothing in public pointed to the coming end of their marriage. Exactly when Raiyah and Ned separated is unknown. There was no statement, no loud conflict, not even a short palace announcement about a separation. The marriage that the royal family had once officially announced simply seemed to disappear. But while Raiyah's marriage was fading from public view, Ned's life began to change before everyone's eyes. In March of 2025, he left the London police and moved to South Carolina. There he became a police officer in the small coastal town of Isle of Palms. And it was in America that another woman appeared beside him. Her name is Megan Tomlin. She is an American dietitian who runs her own entertainment blog on TikTok. The contrast was too striking for the tabloids to ignore. A few years earlier, Ned had stood beside the daughter of the King of Jordan, and now the woman he had chosen was an American posting clips about her dog, her clothes, her food, and her everyday life. In the autumn of 2025, Megan showed her followers photographs from the engagement. She and Ned happily displayed the ring to their followers on social media. And in July of 2026, Ned and Megan held a very beautiful wedding in an old English church. At that moment, the media finally saw the cruel truth. Princess Raiyah's Eastern fairy tale had been over for a long time, completely and for good. The man who had converted to Islam for a monarch's daughter is now happy with an American TikToker. And it was this wedding that unexpectedly revealed the news that Princess Raiyah was already divorced. The world learned of the end of her marriage not from the princess herself or from the royal court, but only because her former husband had married again. So what happened to Princess Raiyah? Ned's new life became almost entirely public, but Raiyah did the exact opposite. After the divorce, she gave no candid interview, she offered no explanation of why it had all ended, and she did not turn a personal drama into a public event. According to the New York Post, the princess lives in Los Angeles and continues work on her doctoral dissertation at the University of California. In recent years, she has also appeared at a few charity events. The princess has not disappeared at all. Her private life has simply become as closed again as it was before the wedding. And perhaps that is what sets this story apart from many other royal divorces. We know almost everything about the new life of her former husband, where he works, where he lives, whom he married, and even what his new wife shows her followers on TikTok. But about Raiyah herself, the woman at the center of this royal fairy tale, we know almost nothing. She is 40 years old, she has no children, and after the divorce she remains one of the most private members of the Jordanian royal family. And what do you think about this sad royal story? Write your opinion in the comments. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like. See you next time.